Hello everybody and welcome to Ready Steady DIY. Today we'll be taking a tool out of my truck that's meant for a film and television application and seeing if we can come up with some other uses for it. In other words, what is a grip head and why should you care? So as you may know if you've been here before, I've worked in the film and television industry for a couple of decades now. I have a lot of equipment here, and I'm always interested in finding ways to take the tools that I use at work and put them towards DIY projects or stuff I do at home. One of the most unique tools we use in the film and television industry is the grip head. Today we're going to go over the grip head, what it is, how to use it, and why you should care about it. The film and television industry brings so little to the world. The least we can do is share our tools with you. And so let's get started. To the garage! So as you may know, if you saw the video, I used a grip head in order to make a record dryer that allows my records to dry after I put them through the Spin Clean record washer system. If you're interested in that system, if you like records, if you need to clean them, here's a link to that video. You can see how I sort of introduced it. We'll get more into how I built it today, but specifically, I think because not everybody needs a record dryer, it might be more interesting to look at the main component of the record dryer, how I used it and why. So the main component of the record dryer that I made is called a grip head. So first we have to start with what is a grip head and why should you care? So there are different sizes of grip heads. The most common is this size, which is 2.5 inches. In normal use on a film or television set, the grip head connects the grip stand to the grip arm and allows it all to work as sort of a 5/8 inch system that allows for offsetting a load. The top of the grip stand has a 5/8 inch male pin. The grip head has a 5/8 inch female receiver. And the grip arm, which is 5/8 inch as well, slides into the puck of the grip head and locks securely. The puck of the grip head has various holes for receiving objects of various diameters, including 5/8 inch and 3/8 inch. Essentially, any weight load that you clamp into the grip head puck that is to the right of the locking knob will not slip. As gravity pulls down on that load, the handle or the knuckle on the grip head gets tighter. Of course, the opposite is true. If you mistakenly put the load to the left of the head, gravity will pull down on that load, loosen the head, and down it's going to come. For my purposes, I needed to make a record drying rack, and I wanted to be able to make it articulate. I wanted to be able to load the records just like a record player, straight down, or almost. And I needed to be able to space them so that they could be 1-2 inches apart while they were drying. But then afterwards, in case there was any dripping, I wanted to be able to flip the whole thing so it was as horizontal as it could be. Yes, I could have built it so that the rod was horizontal, but that's a little bit hard to load. It seemed easier to load it just like a record player and then tilt it over when I was done. I knew a grip head could do this safely, so I gave it a go. First thing I needed was a spindle. In order to get that, I needed to figure out the size of the hole of my records. I had been collecting records for years. I didn't exactly know. But then I discovered a document from 1963 made by the RIAA, the Record Industry Association of America, in which they outline all of the details of the specifications of records. 7-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch, literally every physical specification is outlined in this document. And they prescribe that a record of any size, really, any 10-inch, 12-inch, or 7-inch record should have a hole that is 0.286 inches in diameter. They allow a variance of 1/1000th of an inch on the plus side and 2/1000th of an inch on the minus side, but basically you kind of got to hit 0.286 inches. The reason for that is if you get the measurement of the hole wrong, the record's not going to fit on the record player. If it's too small, it'll bind on the spindle, so you might be able to get it on. You won't be able to get it off without flexing it. And if it's too big, it's going to rattle around. And that's bad for the stylist. So narrowed down to a fraction, that turns out to be 9/32 of an inch, approximately. So I knew that 8/32 of an inch might be a good size for the spindle. In other words, a 1/4 inch. Called up a metal supplier. I said, hey, can you cut me off a piece of stainless steel rod? 1/4 inch in diameter, I don't know, 15 inches long? They said, okay. This is important. Too many DIY people only rely on Home Depot, Lowe's, the big box stores. It's a good idea to get to know the industrial suppliers in your city, town, wherever. You can order some of this stuff online, but the industrial suppliers just have a ton of wisdom that they can give you. They're experts and they're a great knowledge source to tap. In this case, I didn't need a ton of knowledge. I just needed a piece of metal cut. I cut aluminum all the time, but I wasn't sure about cutting stainless because all the blades I have are non-ferrous blades. So if they could cut it for me, way easier. So now I needed a way to support the rod. I found an old hole saw mandrel that was designed to take a 1/4 inch bit. It had a little set screw in the side. It worked perfect. The rod fit right inside the mandrel, screwed it tight. It wasn't going anywhere. The part of the mandrel that was supposed to go into the chuck of the drill or the drill press fit nicely into the 3/8 inch hole on my grip head. This was working great. So then just a little washer on the end and I could start loading the thing up. I found some 3-inch painter sponges. They were like very, very cheap at the surplus store. And on top of the washer, I put the first sponge and then load a record to dry, add a sponge, load a record to dry. The label on a record is usually about 4 inches or 100 millimeters in diameter. So the 3-inch sponges were perfect. They didn't touch the playable surface. Even if they did, I wasn't too worried about it. So as long as the hole was right in the middle of the sponges, these things were gonna work perfectly. How do you put a 1/4-inch hole in a sponge? Well, you grab a 1/4-inch hole punch, which at my surplus store was, I think, $1.30, and you give it a tap, or 2, or 3. And then in the end, I had 10 sponges that had holes in them that would fit perfectly onto this piece of rod. It was great. I chose to load it at a slight angle. It just seemed easier. And the steeper the angle, the more chance the bottom record might clip the table. If you're doing it on a stand, if you have a stand, pretty easy to do it any old way. If I was gonna do it on a table, I would allow a little bit of extra room just to make sure the bottom record doesn't clip the table. A slightly less steep angle. But yeah, it's really easy to dry your records this way. And of course, the grip head can spin, so you could load it over the table. Once you're happy and satisfied, you could spin it off the edge of the table and tilt it over, or whatever you wanted to do. If you were really nervous about it, you could clamp the board down that the 5/8-inch base plate that you see here is attached to, whatever you want. But in that way, I created a pretty cheap, pretty easy to build and take apart record dryer. And it got me to thinking. I use grip heads for all sorts of stuff. They're excellent if you have to solder something, because the two pieces of the puck pinch together quite firmly. It's kind of like a little portable vise, or a third hand for holding stuff while, I don't know, heat shrinking or whatever. The other thing a grip head is good for is what it's meant for, offsetting small or medium loads. These days, it seems like everybody has some kind of YouTube channel or vlog or something. Everybody's taking pictures. So whether it's a selfie or you're trying to get a camera over a table to teach people a DIY or cooking lesson, or you just need to take a picture of something for Kijiji or eBay, one really good use for the grip head is to attach it to something, preferably a stand, and use a clamp to clamp onto a GoPro, a phone, whatever, and you can get a perfect straight down shot without a whole lot of effort or your tripod legs getting into the shot. I wouldn't hang something too heavy over top, and if you're gonna use a grip stand, there's some very specific rules you need to learn. We haven't gone over those here, that's another video entirely. But just the grip head, the arm, a clamp, it's a fairly simple thing to get used to. I don't understand why more film and television stuff doesn't sort of leak into the world. For some reason, we seem to be a technically insular community. I think people think this stuff is too expensive or beyond their reach, or maybe they don't know where to get it. Fact is, they're pretty easily ordered online now. I'll put links in the description below, and it's not as expensive as you might think. So don't get me wrong, you can't just take a tool and make it work any old way. But just in case there's some stuff on my van that might be of use to someone who doesn't know about it, I'm gonna try to take a couple of things off every now and again and show you how they work. I guess you never know, right? Anyway, I hope that had some value for you. Please feel free to like and subscribe if it did. If there's something that wasn't clear in this video, something you want me to go over, or you just have a question, please feel free to leave a comment in the comments section. I'm always trying to make the channel better, and that really helps.